Oh, hello. Welcome to Gourmet, the channel where I cook my way through all the cookbooks I own and have never used. We are still working with Southern Cast Iron magazine, although a slightly different edition, where we'll be making a Bourbon Old-Fashioned Pecan Pie. I'm excited to try this one. I love a good pecan pie. Around Thanksgiving, fall is really the only time I typically eat it. So I thought it was pretty appropriate for this series. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to try something a little different today. The recipe says to do this in a food processor, which I don't own. So I'm going to try to do it in my mixer, which may or may not be the right move. I'm not really sure, but you don't know till you try. So we're going to get all of our ingredients ready. We need 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, that was spot on. I'm so proud of myself. We need 2 tablespoons of sugar. So here's our tablespoon. Well, actually, I think this is a half tablespoon. So we'll do 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So there is our 2 tablespoons of sugar. We need 2 teaspoons of salt. Do we think that's 2 teaspoons? I'll tell you this. I guess we can get those out of the way. And then really what I'm doing is I'm just going to mix this with the whisk attachment. So we finished our dough by hand. It actually feels like a really nice dough. We just kneaded for a little while, but you can see it's got a nice texture, I think, to it, and it's not sticky at all. We did add, once we had the butter and everything incorporated, we did add about just under a half cup of cold water and just kneaded until it became not sticky. Now I'm going to real unscientifically rip this in half. That was a thud. And the book says to divide the dough in half and shape each portion into a disc, wrapping tightly. And then this is going to refrigerate for 2 hours. I'm not doing 2 hours. I'm doing a little longer than that. I'm making this on a Friday night, and so I'll probably make this pie on a Sunday. That's the plan anyway. So I'm going to refrigerate for just about 2 days or a day and a half. The book says you can refrigerate for up to 3, and you can freeze for up to 2 months. So here we are a couple days later after we've made our, what is this called? Dough. Admittedly, I put this in the microwave to heat up for like 15 seconds because it was like kind of practically frozen. My fridge is a little cold. But we're going to go ahead, and what we're doing is I'm just making a mess, but I'm also just flouring the surface, and we're going to go ahead and roll this out. The recipe says into a 14-inch circle. Now, will I get 14 inches? No. But we're going to get as big of a circle as we can. And we're going to then add it into our cast iron skillet. But I'm going to move that just off the way because I'm realizing I don't have enough space. So, I try to keep the place a little clean, but I'm realizing now there's just a whole flaw in this plan, and this is not the best way to roll out dough. Oh well. Okay, let's get this rolling. Once we have this rolled, the recipe book says to freeze it for like 15 minutes, which I think is pretty interesting. So, we'll do what it says. I'm definitely not doing a great job rolling this into a circle. It's definitely a square. I don't know if this is 14 inches or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and stick this in here gonna move this. I don't need to roll anything else out. Let's go ahead and just plop this in. Oh, I broke it. I am not good at this. Ugh, I am honestly really bad at this. But we're just gonna smush this down, if you can see. Push this back together. We're gonna smush it down. Try to get it like nice and even. Maybe. Okay. That is as good as it's gonna get. I'm hoping that this doesn't stick. My pan is Crisco. I've got Crisco on there. But you never know. Ooh, that's a little thin. Okay, we're just gonna stop here. I'm gonna get a little paring knife. And we're just gonna go ahead and cut off any excess. Now the book says to crimp your edges, but look, I'm not doing that. My pie is, we're going to be happy if we get a pie, and we're going to be happy with whatever we have. So yeah, and I know that the sides of this crust are going to go down, and when it bakes, it'll be lower than the edges of the pan, but that is what it is. Now I do have a little bit of dough left, but I'm going to save this, I think, before I put it in the oven. And this is kind of suggested in the recipe too. Maybe I'll just fill in some really small gaps. But before we put it in the oven, I'm going to see if I have any like fun cookie cutters and cut just like a little bit of pattern out. See if we have any like leaves or anything like that. I don't think I do, but you never know. I'm trying to get all the air bubbles out. Okay, so I'm going to wash my hands real quick. I know this doesn't look perfect, but that's okay. I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to clean up, and we'll get this started in the freezer for 15 minutes. So while our pie crust is freezing, we're going to go ahead and measure out the ingredients for the filling. We need a cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. I'm just excited. I've never actually made pecan pie before, but I love pecan pie. So, okay, I'm going to call that 2 cups and put our brown sugar away. And then we need flour. We need, ooh, everything's so loud. A tablespoon of all-purpose flour. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of guesstimate what a tablespoon would be. And that's about right. Okay. I guess I can take this one out too. I guess I could have used that for a flour. Whatever. We'll just make more and more. More and more dishes. Okay, now we need a half teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm going to say that's a half teaspoon. I don't really know. We need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. It, of course, says kosher salt, like almost all the recipes, but hey, it is what it is. And then we need, how much nutmeg? A 1/4 teaspoon. Sure, that looks great. And then we're going to whisk this together. I'm having to read the recipe as I go on this one because kind of like baking, it's a lot easier to mess up. And so, we're just trying our best. I don't want to skip a step. And there's a couple things happening in this one. So we need a half cup of light corn syrup, which is what I have here. I don't normally use corn syrup, so I did have to buy it special. But I just bought, it's the only brand I truly ever see of corn syrup. It's this Caro, so that's what we're using. And then we need a half cup of cane syrup. So I don't have cane syrup because I totally missed it in the recipe, but I was Googling and found that you can use molasses as a cane syrup substitute. So we're going to use that. I'm just going to do a little under a half cup just in case it's a little wrong. And then I'm going to go clean up because I just got molasses all over myself. So we've got our molasses, aka cane syrup. We have our corn syrup. Now we need a third cup of melted butter, which is what is in here. And we're going to go ahead and whisk this together. Now, as I whisk, I just figured I should say, if you don't know, you probably saw how there was some molasses and cane syrup still stuck in that like measuring cup. If you heat them up, heat the measuring cups up, and like I normally use hot water. The like stickier ingredients like cane syrups and molasses and corn syrups, they're not going to stick as much, and you'll actually be able to get all of them out. But I wasn't really too worried about that, to be honest. So there is all of those things. Now we need to whisk in our eggs. We need 3 large eggs. Now they do say like to have them lightly beaten, but I think that's just so that you can ensure that the yolks are incorporated. I could be so wrong about that, but I'm going to do it this way. Just kind of crack these guys in here. And I'm going to throw away my eggs and wash my hands again. Okay. So I'm just going to get these guys in here. Our timer just went off for the pie crust in the freezer, but I'm going to leave it in there a little while longer until we're actually finished all the way with our filling. So I'm going to whisk in these eggs real quick. This is definitely a thick filling. And I don't really know what I was expecting because I have eaten pecan pie many a time. But I guess I wasn't, I guess I thought it would be a little waterier than this, but that's okay. So we have our eggs. Now we need to add in 2 tablespoons of bourbon. So I was given this to use as the ingredient by my friend Alisa, so shout out to her. This is just a Buffalo Trace Kentucky bourbon whiskey. I know this is a really nice one, so I feel bad using it, but she said I could use it because nobody had opened it yet. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to measure out 2 tablespoons. 1, 2 plus. And we'll get that whisked in. After our bourbon, we're going to add in a tablespoon of orange zest. I just bought this orange from the grocery store. Get some extra flour off. And I just have my little microplaner here. And I'm just going to guesstimate a tablespoon. Okay, I'll call that a tablespoon. I don't really know. We've got our orange, and now we need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. You already know we're using our homemade vanilla extract. And we're just going to eyeball a teaspoon. That was loud. And mix. I was editing one video one day, and there was a time that I just like slammed something glass on my countertops, and you could barely hear it. So I feel like when I say that as loud, everybody watching probably is like, what does he mean? Because I don't think this little microphone picks it up. Trust me, sometimes they are just like ear-piercingly loud. Okay, so there's that. I want to smell it real quick. It smells pretty good. It's not like super strong, but I think that's okay. So now we need a half cup of chopped raisins, a half cup of dates, and a cup of chopped pecans. We need a half cup of chopped raisins and a half cup of chopped dates. So this is the part of the pie that I'm not really sure is like other pecan pies. I can't say if I know that raisins and dates have been in the other pies that I've tried, but That's okay. We're going to try it out today. So I just have a little box of snack raisins. You know, I bought them thinking, hey, I can just eat these throughout the week and it'll be fine. And I'm looking at my little quarter cup, or I guess that's a third of a cup, but I think I might use 2 packages, or 2, I think 1.5. We're going to play it safe. We're going to use 1.5 packages. Okay. There we go. Okay. Oh, these are going to be impossible to get small. We're just going to... Just because this is an ingredient, like if I go over on the pecans, I don't care. I know I'm going to like that. If I go over on the raisins, I'm a little worried about that. Like, I love a raisin, like an oatmeal raisin cookie, but I don't know about a raisin pecan pie. So here's a third of a cup. Oh no, we'll be fine. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I think we have about a half cup here. Here's our raisins. I guess if anything, this is just going to make it extra sweet, which might be nice. Okay, come on. Okay. Just trying to get all of these out. Perfect. Okay, there. That's good enough. I'm over it. And now we need a half cup of dates. So here's the dates I got, just dried pitted dates. I don't know if that's exactly 100% what I was supposed to buy. It just said coarsely chopped dates. So we're just going to have to cut these on our own. Let's see what our dates look like. This is an ingredient I am not used to. Okay. So here's our dates. We're just putting them in here to kind of see what I think I might need. Do we think that that is a half cup? I'm going to say that that's maybe a half cup. I don't know for sure. But we'll chop it and then we'll remeasure and see. Here's our knife. These and raisins are just so sticky. I'm going to stop here. I'm done with this. Okay. So here's our dates. I'm just going to say that this is a half cup. It's good enough for me. We're definitely losing some to the cutting board, which is fine. I think we're done with it finally. So I'm going to remove it. I'm going to wash my hands real quick and we'll be right back. Hands are washed. We have our pecans chopped. And I know it says a cup. That's probably closer to 2. So I know that this is going to be a little more pecan heavy, but I just like my pecan pies that way. I like a more nutty pecan pie than, like, you know how some are just, I don't know what to call it. It's the filling, but I always call it the goop because it just is like pecan pie goop, which is what we're making. So I don't want it to be like goop heavy. I'd rather it be nut heavy. So I think that's good. That feels like it's got like a lot of nuts in it, which I know I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to clean up a little bit. I'm going to grab our pie crust and I'll see you when we're ready to fill that. Okay, so we've got our pie our pie crust out of the freezer. I'm just going to give this a nice stir again with the whisk. Knock out all of that stuff because it keeps getting stuck. And then I'm going to pour this in. And we're going to scrape out everything in the bowl. Okay, I'm going to put the bowl to the side. So I thought I might have a leaf cookie cutter. I didn't. I had some snowflakes. So I'm just going to plop these guys in. And maybe they'll bake up, maybe they won't. I really don't know what's going to happen. But that's my decoration. Whatever. I might be misunderstanding that I'm supposed to bake this separately. That's probably what's supposed to happen, but they're going to bake like that. We're going to throw this in the oven at 375 for 15 minutes, and then reduce the temperature to 300 and bake for an hour and 20 minutes to about an hour and 35 minutes. So next time you see the pie, it'll be finished. We've had our pie sitting out of the oven for probably 30 minutes or so. Had to look at the clock to see. But this is what she looks like. It looks really nice. It smells really good. The decorations on it look terrible. But that's not against the cookbook. That's I try to get creative with some of this stuff, and I just it's like half, maybe even a quarter thought through. And then it turns out, and I'm like, that looks terrible. Anyways, we're gonna make some whipped cream for this now. For the whipped cream, we need a half cup of heavy whipping cream, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then a teaspoon or a tablespoon. I don't remember. A tablespoon of the bourbon. I'm going to go ahead and mix all of the whipped cream in this mixer over here. We've made whipped cream before. It's really simple. So yeah, I guess I'll get the ingredients for that ready and we'll get started. Okay, so our whipped cream is finished. I went ahead and cut ourselves a piece of pie. It looks really nice. It has a great crust. You can kind of see that maybe there is a little too many pecans. Just because I think it is supposed to have more. I don't know what it is. Is it jelly? I don't know what it is. But you can kind of see that this one's really stuffed to the brim. But I'm going to go ahead and just take my spoon and get a bite with some whipped cream. Here's our bite. Let's give this guy a try. That is really good. I do think it definitely skews to the sweet side with the addition of the raisins and the dates. And if I was to make this again, I think I might leave those out. But I don't mind them. I definitely like them. I would make this again. I will happily eat this. But I think I prefer more of a maybe traditional pecan pie. But I really like this. This is really good. The ingredients were easy to get. I didn't buy the bourbon. Obviously, my friend Alisa gave me that, but I guess I could have bought my own pretty easily. So nothing would have been hard to find. The nuts were shockingly expensive. It was $10 or $12 for that pack of nuts. Everything else was pretty fairly priced. And I really do like, honestly, I like this a lot. And I probably could have let it cool a little more, but I got impatient. I've been smelling it for hours. I really wanted this one. So I think I'm going to give it maybe an 8. And just because I really think without the extra sweetness from maybe the raisins and the dates, I'd like this one more. And because you do have to probably go out and buy some bourbon. But honestly, this was a really good one. I'm glad I have this recipe. I'm glad I have extra dough, honestly, because now I can make another one the way I want it. I like this. I have no complaints. I think this is a great dessert. It's a nice homemade pie. And yes, it took a long time to cook, but the actual active prep was pretty short. So I think I want to recommend you make this one. I really do think this was a good one. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.